And welcome into the 3 and Out podcast, a podcast all about West Texas high school football and UTPB. David McReynolds, Gary Gray, Dustin Pierce, excited for another edition. Start us off.
All right, we're going to talk about our app.
Nice.
It's the way you listen to Midland High and Midland Lee on the radio. So you need to go to the app store, your app store, download Midland ISD Athletics. Don't confuse that with just the Midland ISD app. It's Midland ISD Athletics. You select your team. You can switch in between teams if it's halftime or whatever, the game's over. You go up to the top, the 3 bars, drag down to broadcast, find the little headphones. Don't click on the video because we're not on video. It's not allowed. Headphones turn red. We go on the air at 7. You guys travel to El Paso this week.
Yeah,
what time is that game?
Well, the kickoff's 8 o'clock El Paso time, which is 7 o'clock our time. So
6:30.
We'll go on air at 6:30. Yeah.
Okay, so the Lee game will be on air at 6:30.
Yep.
You can listen radio KCRS AM 550, or you can listen KFZX 102.1, or use the app from anywhere in the world.
There you go.
Click on the Bulldogs. We'll go on the air at 7. So check it out, Midland ISD Athletics. Download the app. Very simple to use.
So let's start us off with Lee football. How does that sound?
Go ahead.
So the Lee Rebels are now 3-0, ranked 24th. I almost said in the nation, but that would be in the state of Texas. Right, really close.
It's the same to us.
You know, it's been a really interesting 3-0 start, including a 72-7 victory over Montwood on Friday. And so we'll just give you some of the key highlights. I was telling a lot of people this week, I said, I think 72-7 is even harder than when they lose sometimes. I mean, it really is, because after a while, you literally see the blood spilling out onto the field. You feel for these dudes who are about to travel 4 hours back home, and Lee was scoring on the first play 3 consecutive drives. So here's how it broke down. Really, all eyes on Mikey Serrano, and so college coaches are going to want to keep their eyes on this kid. He's going to be a good one. Check this out. His last 4 starts, this would include the game against El Paso El Dorado last year in the playoffs. Last 4 starts dating back to 2018. He's 47 of 77, 1,172 yards, 20 TDs, and 1 pick.
Wow.
Lee, in that span, has outscored opponents 222-61. So Friday, he broke his own passing touchdown record that he set in that playoff game. He now has the record at 7 touchdown passes in one game. He also has the passing record for yards in one game with 416 set in that playoff game a year ago. So Mikey Serrano is the real deal. So all eyes posted on him. I think his character matches his athletic ability. So he's a kid who's going to go far. Loic Fungi, so far this year, here's some more staggering statistics. 361 yards, 7 touchdowns on just 11 receptions.
That's almost a 30-yard average.
Yeah, 32.8.
And 7 out of his 11 receptions are touchdowns?
That's exactly right. So he's also D1 talent, recently offered by USC. Rumor has it, according to some sources inside the Lee clubhouse, he's between Texas and Tech. So we shall see what happens. Charlie Gonzalez leads the pack defensively. He wears number 36. He'll wear number 37 in honor of Jacob Power this week. He has 27 total tackles so far. All-state honorable mention last year. But the Rebels against El Paso teams, they're set to take on Eastwood this coming Friday night. Eastwood is a 5A Division I, District I team that's lost 1 game to Americas 63-0, 1 game to Plano 43-28, and then they won their last one. But Lee has outscored El Paso teams. Check this out: 241-39. The last 4 El Paso teams that they have played. So, anyways, there's where you have it. Lee's really good. The next 3 games are going to be, or the next 2 games are going to be bloodbaths again, 3 in a row, and then we'll move into district play.
That's great.
Midland High.
Yeah, Midland High. We traveled to El Paso Franklin last week, a team that Midland High has played 3 times in their last 13 games. And so
we should have sent Lee to play Franklin. That would have been a game.
So 55-21, both teams scored on their opening drives, and we thought this is sort of like last year when we had 17 touchdowns scored in the first half of the playoff game. I think that's right, 17 touchdowns.
42, 49 points.
Yeah, something
each.
like that. Well, 56-49.
Yeah, 56,
Yeah,
49.
8 and 15 touchdowns in the first half. And then Franklin scored again. They held. Midland was sort of the victim of their own mistakes a few times. A face mask in the end zone on what would have been a fallen on ball for a touchdown by the defense. Next series dropped a pass caught the pass, fumbled at the 3-yard line.
Wow.
Yeah.
Franklin's a tough team though. They came down, they beat Permian handily in Odessa.
I saw that.
They were 5-0 district champs last year. They're expected to be the best team in El Paso again this year.
Yeah, but in that first half, those two incidents would have kept the score close.
In talking to Coach A to Z this week, obviously you're looking at the positive spin. It could have easily been 21-21, potentially 24-28-21, Midland High's favor without those few mistakes. Just the old proverbial shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
Positive note, Daniel Garcia, over 200 yards rushing again for the second game in a row.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you go back to last year, take 2 games as you did, he's over 900 yards, and I think his last 5 starts.
What grade?
Junior.
Yeah, strong. He's matured a lot since last year. He's become a really physical runner.
Nice.
So that was a high point as opposed to the previous game where they gave up, I think, over 400 yards passing to Pebble Hills. They did okay shutting down the long passes, although I think Franklin still had 3 touchdown passes.
3 long passes.
But they had our defense struggled covering the rush game.
Yeah, that was admittedly by Coach one of the stronger quarterbacks they're going to encounter outside of Lee.
Outside of Serrano,
outside of that this year.
So we host Midland High hosts Abilene High.
Okay.
It's a team that's coming in 0-3. So a little bit of pain for them. They lost to Lee. They lost to Amarillo Tascosa, who's a very good team.
Yes.
And
Cooper.
That's right. They lost to Cooper, Abilene Cooper, who's now 5A, in the crosstown sort of rivalry.
Yeah, I bet that hurts more.
Yeah, so they're going to be coming in with a little bit of chip on their shoulder, I would say. They need to get on the winning road because they start district play next week.
Right.
They're in a larger district than we are. So
Abilene's a good team. They've got a bit of a not sure who their quarterback is kind of a thing. They have a senior and a junior. They split time between both of them. Salty little defense, 9 starters back. So they're going to be a good team. It'll be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, hopefully the Bulldogs can get to 2-2. And then I think the Harlingen game next week that we're going to travel down to, I would expect them to be favored and win that game. So start 3-2.
Not bad.
Not bad because this is a young team, 12 sophomores. And it's like we've talked about, each week is basically prepping for district because it doesn't really matter at this point other than trying to keep your young men motivated and out of the dumps.
Yeah, when it's a rebuilding season, you just really have to keep that vision out in front of those players.
Right. So elsewhere in the district, Odessa High is going to be at Montwood.
Tonight.
1-2 and 1-2, that's right. And then Palm Desert, California, 2-2 at Permian, 0-3. Permian kind of struggling so far, but to their credit, they have played DeSoto and South Lake.
Correct.
So there you have it.
And El Paso Franklin.
And El Paso Franklin. And El Paso Franklin. So 3 really solid squads. But again, that's what's going on elsewhere in District 2 6A. What about some of our local schools, Midland Christian and then Midland Trinity?
So Midland Christian traveled down to Wall's number 5 in the state in their division last week. The Hawks overcame some early sluggishness. They came back from a 14-7 halftime deficit to beat Midland Christian. That's, as you pointed out, that's a game that for the 11th year in a row, the home team won.
That's right.
That's crazy. They shut Midland Christian out for that whole second half then.
Yeah, so Midland Christian. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
So Midland Christian goes to 1-2. They face Monahans here in Midland on Friday night. So that's always a pretty good game. The Monahans game whenever they play them. So again, they're looking to get back on track, back to a 500 record. Let's see. Who else we're going to talk about? Trinity. I have somewhere. Let's go ahead and talk about.
And remember Greenwood.
Yeah, we need to talk about Greenwood.
Well,
Trinity.
Yeah.
So they're number 2 ranked. They improved to 2-1 on the season. They won 38-22 over the Lubbock Titans. They travel up to Amarillo to face Amarillo San Jacinto. and that will be that's tomorrow night as well. So they're going to go up there. Seemed like a good game, and for a Trinity team to, after a couple of tough years, they've moved back down to 6-man where they've had some success in the past.
Nice.
So they moved to 2-1.
Very nice.
Greenwood has moved up in the state rankings.
Well, and let's be honest, they may be the team to watch in the Basin this year at the high school level. I mean, Lee's going to have some success.
Yes.
But I think Greenwood may have the best chance for a long run.
That's right. And they moved to number 7
overall
in 4A.
Wow.
And if they break that down, I think in 4A they break it to Division 1 and 2, even in the rankings. And I think they're either number 2 or 3 in the Division 2.
Their division, yeah.
So Greenwood, they were clicking on all cylinders. They were ranked 9th. They beat Shallowater 49-14. They had 474 total yards. They held Shallowater to 213. Excuse me. Trey Cross again led the Rangers with 182 yards rushing, 3 TDs. Weston Wilbur, the quarterback, threw for 163 and 2 touchdowns. Snodgrass, Ramirez, they were the leading receivers. They're doing a good job of spreading the ball out.
Right.
They've got a little tougher test this week.
Yeah.
They go up to play the Indians up in Seminole.
Yeah, that'll be a game.
2 3-0 teams. So
Yeah.
Everyone's going to be watching to see who comes out of this one.
Right.
Yeah,
Continue
so
having a perfect
that's
record.
local high school. What about we have a college team? Remember UTPB?
Yeah. So starting this week and moving forward, we have a weekly phone call with head coach Justin Kerrigan of UTPB, and so talked to him this week. Had a good conversation. Really, my motive more than just X's and O's is what does it mean to bring college football to the Permian Basin? This is year 4 for them. It's been a really interesting start from practicing on dirt fields and officing and closets to they've got a whole complex coming, and they've got new practice facilities, and they're 2-0 right now. Their win on Saturday against Northern Michigan, coach said good for our kids. It was validation, very convincing, but it's time to start conference play. So that's where our focus is now, but to start 2-0 is always good. First time since 2016. Well, what I thought was great is 16 total Permian Basin kids are on this team. So 16 guys from the Basin just spread from Andrews to Big Spring all around Midland, Odessa. Some notables that are really making a difference: Ryan Wilson, Jacob Granado, and Emilio Solis, who's a linebacker set to graduate this year.
Oh, wow.
Really, he's been there from the beginning, so a really awesome story out of Midland High. But again, coach's thought was being 2-0 is great, but his biggest thing that he's just hanging his hat on is these guys graduating, these guys moving on to the next level, buying into the program, even when there was really nothing to buy into other than a vision.
Right.
And that's a big deal. So my question, I said, so tell me about traditions. Obviously, college football is full of traditions. I want to know, what's UTPB doing? What do you see? And he had a great quote. He goes, you have to remember, traditions organically happen over like periods of 50 to 60 years.
Yeah.
He goes, he's like, we don't have that yet.
4 seasons.
You look at some of the great college football teams, and it's shaped by rivalries. It's shaped by different things that happen. Their big thing is they're doing a tailgate walk. So guys are walking through the tailgate. The players are, and they're greeting fans, going to Ratliff Stadium. The kids love it. The players love it. And he's excited about things like that and just seeing what happens. Yeah. Last thing I thought was really interesting. I asked him, I said, what are the biggest misconceptions about college football? What do you wish that you could tell people that they might not understand? Here's what he said. He goes, UT Austin does not pay for our program. He said, oftentimes there's misconceptions. You're a UT moniker. You're a UT school.
Right.
UT Austin has something to do with it. And he said, let's just put that rumor to bed. But here's what he wants you to know about Division II. The quality of talent is NFL level. And there are D2 guys that go to the NFL all the time. Yep. We could name a few. I think of Pierre Garcon. Actually, I think he was a D3 guy. But there's a bunch of guys from ACU in the past. Bernard Scott's one guy from ACU who played for the Bengals when they were D2. But his biggest thing is he says we can bring elements of Friday Night Lights and transport it to Saturday for people. So come and support us. Cool. They take on Midwestern State. They're doing it on the road, Wichita Falls, 7 p.m. Midwestern State's nationally ranked. Yeah. They've been a winning program since 2001. Coach coached there for 4 years, so he knows the program. They're a perennial contender, but he thinks being 2-0 it's going to be a little boost of confidence.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's always one of those matchups that kind of lets you measure yourself as you're progressing every year.
Yeah, you got to play the best
Yeah.
to be the best, so to speak. So Lone Star Conference play gets started. We look forward to that continued conversation as the year progresses.
And they played in Midland last week, right?
Yeah, so that's their Lone Grande Communications Stadium game. Good
Yeah.
turnout, good fans.
That's
they
the only
won.
one?
They do one game at Grande.
Oh, I thought they were increasing that this year.
Let me again pull it
we'll
up.
get back
but
to you 'cause I
from
could totally
from
be
what
wrong.
from what I see, the rest of the
All in
games
Odessa?
are in Odessa at
Okay.
Ratliff Stadium. Yep.
That's great, though. 2-0 start. Good for them.
So let's move into our 3 and out portion, which is basically just each of us brings a topic to the table, something that we want to talk about, and then we are out of here.
Do you want me to go?
Go ahead.
All right. So I saw this interesting article earlier this month. It's in Dave Campbell's Texas Football, because we've been talking about this school bond election. And,
Right.
you know, depending on if we have 3 schools and they all go to small 6A, we're going to be competing against these huge schools, even
Right.
across 20 miles from here in Odessa, et cetera, et cetera. And so they had this interesting poll. They polled a bunch of high school football coaches. I think they actually sent it to all of them, and I don't know what the polling numbers came back at. But they said, rank the following factors that you take into account when considering a Texas high school football head coaching job. Because as we've talked to the ADs and the coaches around here, I would not point anyone by name, but it's implicitly understood that it's going to be a tough battle to come out and compete at that level, because you're playing against schools that have several thousand more student athletes to pull from and to choose from. So here was their, out of 251 responses, first, 52% administrative support. That's the factor they take into account when looking at a head job. 52% administrative support, 18% talent pool, 16% location. Well,
And why not?
yeah. I get it. Hey,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
it's beautiful out here. 9% facilities.
Okay.
The last thing, 5% salary.
Really?
Wow.
Isn't that surprising?
Wow. They want to be supported.
Yeah, they want to be supported.
I mean,
and
which
so
makes you think of any vocation.
any job. It just sort of brought that. It was a reality check to me
Wow.
that, okay, I'm not always looking to where I can win. And I think from the guys we've gotten to know through doing this through the years,
Right.
these guys, and we could name a handful and just keep going. They're truly interested in pouring into these kids' lives.
Exactly.
It's about the
So
investment.
it's very refreshing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a couple of other interesting things, though. They continued the poll and said, who are the college coaches that you trust the most? Okay. Gary Patterson,
Really?
TCU, number 1.
Really?
Then Matt Rule at Baylor.
Wow.
Sonny Dykes, SMU. Tom Herman, North Texas.
That's unusual.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Dabo Sweeney's not in there. He's really changing the landscape
Well,
of coaching.
it was local, state.
You're just
Okay.
keeping it
Just
statewide.
Texas.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Interestingly, Jimbo Fisher was 6.5% of who you trust the most. Now, when you go to which of the 12 FBS coaches in Texas do you trust the least? Number 1, Jimbo Fisher. But then,
Really?
32.6%. Then Tom Herman, 23.3%, closely followed by Dana Holgerson at Houston now, was West Virginia, 19.8%. Then it drops all the way from double digits of 32, 23, 19.8 to 5.7, Jake Spavital. So what is that?
Wow.
70, almost 80% of respondents,
The top 5.
the top three were
Three.
Jimbo, Tom Herman, and Dana Holgerson.
Ooh.
Out of 251 people.
That's insane.
I don't know what you guys did to cause that, but
Promises that weren't followed through with.
exactly.
I take it.
So that's what I have.
So this week I want to talk a little bit about some of the development of Lee football. And here's the hard thing. You can never put your thumb on one thing and say, this is the reason why X is better, Y is better, Z is better. But this summer, Lee started something they've never done before, and that's 7-on-7 football. It was under the leadership of Taylor Potts, former Texas Tech quarterback, and some other former college athletes. There's a bunch of them. I don't have all the names. That's for another time. Taylor and I have had many conversations about how his goal was not only to start the program, but to help them be able to fine-tune some of their relationships, mechanics, skills, some of the things that coaches aren't able to do during the summer, right? And here's the thing. You can always make the argument, 7-on-7 football, you have people go to state and then they don't even make the playoffs as a team during the 11-man season. Yeah, whatever. I think my mindset is more than anything, you're working with college-level guys who have a very advanced understanding of the game. You're fine-tuning skills. There's the camaraderie. There's the reps. There's the competition. And I think, personally, you're seeing some of that be developed in Mikey Serrano and Loic Fungi and some of your defensive backs like Carl Taylor. So anyways, I think 7-on-7, as far as I'm concerned, is a good thing. I think the Permian Basin teams need to invest in it more, and I actually believe that it's opportunities like that and some other resources that are going to help us continue to climb back and dispel this myth that West Texas football is dead.
That's good.
Yeah, with the spread offense, it's made the passing game so much more important, and it's become a precision game.
It is.
And that 7-on-7 allows teams to work out timing.
Yeah, it's that
quarterback
relationship.
receiver timing.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Those little 5-yard, 10-yard passes that you see Texas Tech, some of those schools just thrive on.
Right.
It's probably been developed in those 7-on-7 programs.
That's good. David, you're going to give us a Heisman
Yeah,
update?
just a quick update on the Heisman. Nothing really changed in the top 5, but I thought it was interesting that Clemson's running back,
Etienne.
is off. He's out of the top 10.
Wow.
So he was number 6.
Where did Trevor Lawrence go?
He's at number 6.
Oh, he moved up a spot.
He moved up a spot. Etienne was, Lawrence was 7.
5 interceptions on the year, Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
I'm surprised he's still even.
And Etienne's had 1 good game out of 3, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Ellinger's at 7.
Wow.
So
11
he's hanging in
touchdowns, no interceptions.
I was about to
almost
say
1,000
rightfully
yards,
so.
averaging over 300 yards.
Yeah.
What's the top 5?
So you've got obviously Jalen.
Yeah.
Jalen and Tua are going to battle it out, it looks like, for the most part.
Nice.
Joe Burrow still
up
hanging
there.
in there at 3rd after his
Right.
performance,
Right.
especially against Texas.
Yeah.
And Justin Fields from Ohio State and Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. I'm excited about the Michigan game this week.
Yeah, that'll be a
And
big,
to see if
Big Ten matchup.
11 and 13 playing each other. And if Taylor is going to have a good Heisman chance to move up, this game is the one that's going to make that possible for him.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. That's 3 and Out. Don't forget, download the app.
That's it.
Midland ISD Athletics. Check out Dustin and Luke, as they call Lee, at Eastwood of El Paso, 6:30 tomorrow night. David and I will be right here in Midland at Grande calling the Bulldog game as they host Abilene High. We go on the air at 7. You can flip back and forth. We do that all the time with each other.
Absolutely.
And listen in and call in, etc.
Yeah.
So we hope you enjoyed it. Dustin Pierce, David McReynolds, I'm Gary Gray. We're 3 and Out.
Yeah.